Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, Chapter 211. And this one starts off with us kind of just, we learn Moo's intentions pretty much. One, he wants to meet with Cohen, and two, he wants to talk with Morgiana, which we knew from last week. And he knows Sinbad is probably going to find out about it, but he doesn't care. And the way Sinbad could find out about it, one of those possible ways we learn later on in the chapter, but I'll get to that at the end. He knows he knows that since the first thing he starts talking about is how he knows that now that Scheherazade is dead, the Lame Empire, their power is Sinbad's for the taking, pretty much. Sinbad and Cohen, at least, those two sides, and he doesn't want either of them to get control. So we get this flashback a little later on talking about how he wants to protect the Lame Empire in Scheherazade's stead. So that's, I mean, the flashback itself I didn't care for. I just think that's like the main message you want to get out of it. I just didn't. It was one of those typical like feelings type of flashbacks. I just didn't care enough to, but whatever. Yeah, it's pretty much the main message you need to get out of that. And he ends up saying that if the Lame Empire does end up needing to rely entirely on one side, either Sindria or the Co-Empire, then it's going to start the biggest world war in history. Which, he only, but I don't think he knew, he shouldn't know about Almatoran. So, I mean, bigger than Almatoran. Oh, then again, this is a different world, so it's different history, but still, I think it's worth mentioning the war that happened in Almatoran between the magicians and the Goi, I guess you could say. And clearly, that scenario is what happened in Magnestat, a potential magicians versus Goi world war, but it didn't come to pass, which is a good thing. But now that they've passed over that, who knows, maybe this is like the fate of the world, that even if they avoid it once, it's just going to happen a little bit later. So this war is probably inevitable. And this is now the next way that the war can possibly happen, with the Co-Empire and Sindria fighting to decide the one true king, the next Solomon, pretty much, who's going to be the one to unite the world. And along with that fact, Mu also knows what's on the other side of the Great Rift, or he knows about the homeland of the Fonleys, which is what he was going to tell which is what he came to tell Morgiana about. When he was younger, he did the same thing Morgiana did. He went to the Great Rift to cross over and see his homeland. He met Yunnan there, and unlike Morgiana, he decided to go even if it meant he couldn't come back. And it was a really, 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 really far distance. So even though he's a Fonley, he just couldn't do it. But when he reached his limits, he ended up changing into an animal, which he said he thought of it as his original form, which is interesting. We know that the Fonleys are really athletic and powerful and everything, so I mean that probably has something to do with it, obviously. And one other thing we learned about them was that when he was there, this form that he took, it felt like he was overflowing with Magi. So he mentions that the Fonleys aren't humans of that side. Or they're not humans of this side because they belong on the other side. So I think like how leaving that, there's something special about the Fonleys' homeland that forces them to change their form. But that change in form has side effects like taking away their Magi, because in the homeland they have a lot of Magi, but there's not a single Fonleys on the freaking planet on this side that has a lot of Magi. All of them have a small amount of Magi. So it's not just Morgiana, it's not just Mu, it's all of them. Alright, so I mean this part wasn't exactly like something that made me jump out of my seats excited, like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens next. But like it is still interesting, it has me curious, and I do want to learn more. So yeah, I mean it's interesting. Like, I just want to know more, I want to know more details about this world. And what it is exactly that makes the Fonleys change over. Is it the land itself? Is it the finalists themselves? Is it a combination of both, which is what I'm thinking, combination of both? Um, I mean, I just, we don't know a lot right now, and I want to know more. Yeah, I just want to know more. Luckily for him, Yunnan followed him there, and he was able to turn him back, kind of, and get rid of that feeling of not belonging on the other side, because when he got this innate feeling that he belonged there, and that if he went back to the other side, he wouldn't be able to escape the feeling of being an outcast, because he knows now that he doesn't belong there. So I mean, Yunnan, he came back, brought him back, and yeah, and that's that. Now Mu Alexius has become the Mu Alexius we know today, and Morgiana says even though she knows that, she has two kings that she serves here, Alibaba and Aladdin, so she's not going to leave. And apparently all of Mu's men did the same thing. Everyone in the Fonley's Corps, they said the same thing. They don't want to go back to their homeland because they have things they want to protect on the other side. And Mu feels the same way. Like I said before, he wants to protect the Lame Empire or Rave Empire, whichever it is. Yeah, he want to protect the Rave Empire in Scheherazade's stead. So yeah, and I can't really say it's the most important part of the chapter because the finally stuff is important, but this is the part of the chapter I like the most. All right, this is crazy. All right, Alibaba, Alibaba tells Kogoku, all right, what Koen's proposal was, and all of a sudden, boom, Sinbad takes her over. All right, takes her over. Now, at first, when I saw this, I was like, wait, what? How in the world did Sinbad take this girl over? Then I was reading it over and I saw the rings around. Then I remembered, back when Kogoku was still in Sindria, and she wanted to spar with Alibaba, but ended up sparring with Sinbad instead. He used Zepar, and he used that sound attack on her. All right, and she was feeling ringing in her head for days, like, well, not days, but she was feeling ringing in her head for a while. All right, and Sinbad was talking with Jafar about it, and talking about, is it really a good thing to be using this girl, all this stuff. And I remember not so long ago, because they animated this scene just a few weeks ago, where right before Gyokuen was about to becomes the new empress of the Ko Empire, Koen is having this conversation with Hakuei in his study, I guess. And Kogoku's kind of eavesdropping, and she's like, she feels faint for a little bit. And like we see this ringing, and she says her head's ringing and everything. So that was probably Sinbad right there listening in on their conversation. If he can just take her over or listen in, then he who knows how many things he's listened to about like what the Ko Empire's been talking about. I mean, I wonder who has he done this for in general? Like he was when Yunnan was talking with Aladdin not too long ago, he did it with the bird, where he was listening through the bird. Like that. Just how many people how many people has he affected with this? I'm like, this is crazy, yo. It's pretty messed up too. Kogoku, man. Kogoku doesn't deserve that. She genuinely wanted to help freaking Alibaba, right? Freaking Sinbad's messing with my pairing, man. Seriously, yo. I mean, we don't even know the details of how this works. Like, does he have to specifically target that person for them to be capable of being controlled, or is it everyone that gets hit by everyone who hears a sound attack? Is it if you just get knocked out from his sound attack? Because Alibaba heard it too, but he was covering his ears, so it wasn't enough to actually knock him out. I'm sure that's not the first time he's used Zepar. So I mean, has he done this with other prominent figures in the past? Like has he fought Koen before and done like that? There's so much that there's so much that could be. Yeah, that's Sinbad, man. I mean, we always knew this guy was shady, but yo, he's really showing how he's half fallen into depravity, man, with freaking folklore at the end of season 1. Yo, man, Sinbad. This dude might end up being the final villain, like, no joke. And what does he say at the other chapter? Something like he wants Alibaba to go through with what he was telling him a while ago. So I don't know, was he? I, I guess the right thing to assume would be that he was talking about the Cohen's proposal, but he said a while ago. I wouldn't exactly consider that a while ago. So was he talking about something that Alibaba and him were talking about in some earlier point in time that was off screen, and we're gonna have a flashback to that? Or was he legitimately saying that, if you do what Cohen says and cut your ties with me, join up with them, it would help Syndria? How would it help Syndria? I mean, could he be going through with my plan from last week? I'm just saying. I called it. I called it. If he ends up going with my plan, I'm just saying it right now. I called it. I called it, man. Alibaba gets to be with Kogaku, plus he's a freaking yo, dude. He's kind of technically going with my plan. Not exactly, but pretty much. Yeah. That's actually pretty legit. If I really called, I was like 70% being serious because I did want that to happen, but I didn't actually think it happened. But if Sinbad is actually suggesting the same thing, that's pretty freaking awesome. All right, I'm just saying. But yeah, it was Sinbad. Sinbad in the finalists. Questions. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week more than I'm looking forward to the next chapter of Magi more than I have been since this is the first time I've actually looked forward to a Magi chapter ever since the chapter where the cliffhanger was Alibaba and Morgiana leaving with Toto and Olba to go to Baobad because remember I wanted to see how an arc would go with just Alibaba and Morgiana carrying it, not Aladdin. And before that, it was the freaking war. But yeah, I like this chapter, and I'm looking forward to the next one. As far as my excitement, I'm not really sure what to grade this what rating to give this chapter because I wasn't excited until the end, but things were still really good. So the finally stuff plus the stuff with Sinbad at the end. Now the stuff with the finalists probably could have been executed better to make it seem more exciting. Then again, maybe it's just me because I was tired yesterday and today too. So maybe it's just me. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because the finalists that's big. Plus Sinbad and taking over Kogaku, this reveals a lot about his ability and introduces a bunch more questions about just how shady Sinbad is and all this backdoor stuff that he could have possibly done. So yeah, I'll give the chapter a 9 out of 10. All right, but yeah, that's it, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.